All right, so welcome everyone to the Venus and Mars Underworld Encounter and Beyond. And we are so excited to have you all here. We've gotten so much positive feedback about this offering, and it just feels like very much time for us to have this kind of gathering. So I just wanted to say that this offering is in a sense it's a in-between class, but it's part of our larger Libra Venus class series. It's a whole class that we teach that's 18 months in length. You can either take the Morning Star class or the Evening Star class, and this is right in the middle. And so this is also kind of helping you to sort of get something about how it is that we present these kinds of courses in a deeper, more ceremonial way in order to work with the Venus cycle in a really powerful, life-changing manner. So this was just going to be for our own class, is part of that included. And we decided we wanted to offer it to many more people because we realized that this is a time where it's so important to come together and have a deeper understanding of these mysteries, specifically of the Venus underworld journey, and this time also the Venus with Mars journey. So part of that, just very briefly, is to say that today, the Venus-Mars conjunction or the Venus-Sun conjunction, or Venus Cazimi in Leo, is also aligned with a really special star. It's the yellow star in the mouth of the lion, and that is Ras Alcid Australis, is what I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but I know that for some of us, it's been feeling, for many of us, it's been feeling that these are times of great depth, and can feel extremely intense right now. And part of that may have had to do with feeling frozen or feeling a little bit paralyzed. It can feel that way in the underworld. And for some of us, maybe having a hard time finding our voice. And so now with this activation, one way to look at it, as well as in the larger field that we're going to be really dropping into, is that us coming together tonight is a time for us to really, again, deepen into what is it that we're here to express from the depths of the experience of the feminine. So that's just a little bit of an introduction from me. And Kaylin, would you like to share anything else about?
Well, I just love that, because when we had this art done for Venus alchemy, and the goddess rising, right? And she's got the lion beside her, and of course it looks like the sun is behind her. So how perfect is that we get to do this with the sun, with Venus and the lion and all of that happening, because it only happens every so often. I mean, really every 8 years, Venus and the sun will be together in this part of the sky. So it's not going to happen every time. It'll happen every 19 months they come together, but in different parts of the sky. So that's all I wanted to say.
Awesome. So awesome. And when we were first planning to present this, it was just going to be about Venus and the underworld. But we really realize it's so essential to also honor that in this particular cycle, and this happens every 6.5 years, Venus and Mars are both actually going to be meeting up in the underworld. So this is also inclusive of the masculine. And that's an important essential element, even though the larger frame is within the Venus cycle. So we're really centering the feminine, but we want to also acknowledge that this is about also some of the sacred marriage material of the feminine masculine work that we get to do also in the underworld at this time. So with that, Kaylin, would you like to help us just really drop into this with the
yeah, I thought I was remembering you wanted to start creating the sacred space, but I'm happy to do it if you're not.
Oh yeah, that's fine, that's great.
Yeah, so you want me to go ahead?
You can go ahead. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I just invite everyone, we're going to do this invocation to the dark god and goddess within. And so I just invite you to bring yourself present in whatever way works for you. To just, we're setting up sacred space. We're inviting in all of the guardian angels, beings of light, ascended masters, teachers, guides, helping spirits, all of those, particularly the circle of grandmothers that we have worked with from the beginning of doing this Venus alchemy work, to support us in our time together. And just breathing into that and inviting in whoever you personally work with and would like to connect with. And just bringing yourself fully present into this moment as we do this invocation to the dark God and goddess within. So, almighty dark God, goddess within the heart of who I am, guiding me through disruption, death, dying, and total transformation. Help me to face my own darkness, my own deepest fears. Help me to feel and heal all my feelings, including any hatred, fury, hurt, judgment, guilt, and shame I still have for myself or others. Help heal feelings of being abandoned by the divine in all its forms, all the ways I have felt wounded, punished, and judged by others, and the immense unfairness of it all. How I believe my imperfections prevent me from being all that I can be, and anything holding me back from feeling loved and accepted just as I am. Thank you, O great dark ones, for this precious gift of awareness and safety to feel these difficult feelings and heal them by transforming them through awareness and courage. Mighty and wondrous God, goddess of the deep, dark depths, thank you for helping me experience the precious secrets of surrender and what it takes to die a good and peaceful death. Thank you for guiding me in letting go with compassion, confidence, and courage so that I restore the cosmic balance, cosmic justice, cosmic awareness within myself and in my relationship to the all of life, benefiting all beings everywhere, while inspiring others to their own greatness and empowerment by embracing and integrating their dark side, creating a high vibration, revolutionary wave of change for our beloved Earth. I am deeply grateful that this is done, and this is so, and so it is. Blessed be.
Thank you, Caroline.
My pleasure.
So, yeah. Just to understand that this moment that we find ourselves in right now is when we have Venus and soon Mars at the heart of great mystery, the sun. And so when Venus and Mars disappear into the underworld, within the context of the Venus, the full Venus cycle, in this case, the Venus-Mars cycle, they are traveling with the sun in the heart of the sun, or the heart of great mystery, for the deepest purification and a burning away of all that is in need of release and transformation. And just to understand that, to the ancient sky keepers, that when the planets Venus, Mars, or Mercury would have been in the beams of the sun, invisible to the naked eye, that would have been a time where the god, the goddess, where that principle represented by that planet was seen to be in a death, rebirth, initiation. So that's where we find ourselves now, and it's both Venus and Mars, so it's really, really potent and profound initiation.
And literally Mars dove into the underworld right after Venus back in July. And then Venus will rise up before Mars, and Mars won't come up until in September, and then Mars will come up in October. But they're in their closest time right now, with their exact conjunction coming up soon, and we'll talk more about that as we go along. But we just also wanted to focus a little bit on a process of descent that Anana has made since November 1st of last year. She's been making her descent journey into the underworld, and she chooses the journey. It is a powerful initiation into the mysteries of death and rebirth. So it's not just the death part of it, it's dying to the parts of ourselves that are ready to die and being reborn into the parts of ourselves that maybe haven't ever been fully expressed or possible to express because of any distortions, any limitations, any beliefs that keep us from that. So this whole journey is literally designed to help us let go, surrender, die to, and then when Venus rises up in the evening sky, to reclaim all of that in a healthier, more alive kind of way. So this is the phase where Venus, or Anana, has reached the land of the dead. So she is dead, essentially. But now, at this point of the story, I always feel like when she's exactly with the sun, it's like now she's starting to come back to life. And there's a whole process that she goes through before she actually begins her ascent, before she comes back to life around this time. So, and basically the mythic story of Inanna or Ishtar is describing this journey of Venus and the rhythm of life, death, life, death, life, death that we all go through.
Yeah, powerful. And it's literal, like literally the Sumerians told the story to describe the way that Venus moves through the sky in her 584-day or about 19-month cycle. So at this stage in the Inanna story and in the Venus journey, it's where she and we, because you could say each of us is Inanna, having this experience. We're coming face to face with the dark goddess, and it's often terrifying as she is fierce, disturbing, and awe-inspiring. And so again, consider for yourself over the last month as Venus has been in the underworld, what is it that you've encountered within yourself? What aspect of yourself, of your being, of your old patterns have you experienced that felt terrifying, that felt disturbing, that felt larger than yourself, that may have even felt paralyzing in some sense or overwhelming? The dark goddess holds the mysteries of death and dying, sex and sovereignty, suffering and shadow. These are all essential components within the mysteries of magic and transformation. She is the one who slays both Venus and Mars, or Inanna, wounded feminine, and the dark god, the wounded masculine, within each of us, so they can be reborn into a new form, which, as we can see in the world around us now, we are in need of a dying to the old expressions of masculine, of feminine, and a birthing of that new energy within us and in the world around us. So that's what this is for.
Beautiful. And like kind of terrifying, as we said, or scary. And when we have the courage to face it and to embrace it, it can be the most amazing life transforming thing that you can experience. So here we have some significant dates, and seeing the masculine and feminine together in the light. They'll be with the sun on August 24th, the exact together, and so there's these are different times that are just maybe worth noting. We're not going to really go into them here, but you'll have access to the this PDF when we post the video, so you can look at this and tune into it. But just basically, Venus is in Leo right now, around 22 Leo with the sun. It's going into Virgo on August 21st. Then the sun moves into Virgo. And when they move into Virgo, they're with the star Regulus, the heart of the lion, one of the 4 royal stars. A very magical and amazing time that they're coming together with this heart energy. And we're going to be focusing a lot on love in our activation later on. So just know that it's being inspired by the heart of the lion. And then the moon and Venus will be together, but not visible on August 30th. And Venus will be opposite Neptune, another initiator into compassion and to the heart of love, essentially. It's one of the ways to look at Neptune. One of the positive ways to look at Neptune. And then on September 4th, and then on the 14th, Venus is going to return to Libra, where she began her journey, was in the sign of Libra, and she's going to be with Mercury. And then on the 19th, Venus will rise into the evening star, rises an evening star, and begin her ascent journey.
So some practices to support the underworld journey. When we do this course and we take people through each of the chakra gates, each of the elements of the Venus morning star and evening journey, we always provide practices like this. But it's really potent and powerful in the underworld process to use practices like breath work, which could include tantric, shamanic, pranic. Even if you don't have access to those tools or you don't have them, I've found that even just really focusing in on the breath is really essential. If you go for a walk, you can use box breathing, but just to be in the body is supportive. But if you have those tools, if you have that capacity, that's really positive. Physical movement, ecstatic dance or any kind of ecstatic movement, African dance, other tribal dance, daily walks, rigorous hikes, running, biking, horseback riding, yoga, shaking. Those are all really good things to move the energy, because we need to move that stuck energy out of our body and our system. Wearing black is another way to really work with this energy. Mirror work. Kaylin, do you want to share that? Because I think you really created this, and I love this practice. I did it last night, and it was so helpful.
Right? Yes. So, I mean, I was just feeling into this and thinking what would be the most amazing way to come face to face with our own shadow side. And suddenly I just was like, mirror work, of course. So it's like really allowing yourself to gaze deeply into your own reflection and to see what you feel about yourself and what you might be resisting and where you might feel open or not, if you're not open, or if, you know, whatever that might be. And then also to be aware of your thoughts. Like sometimes we maybe look in the mirror in a deep way and we notice all the blemishes, the wrinkles as we get older, or whatever that might be. And so then we might find ourselves having judgment about that. But the idea is not to look in the mirror for judgment, but to notice if we have the judgment, and then ideally we can transform that. What are the words that you might be using about yourself that you may need to change? So also maybe noticing, excuse me, where you might need to do more self-care, like noticing, looking at yourself, wow, I look tired, I probably need to rest more, or whatever that might be. So the idea is then that you can use the mirror as a way to look at something that you might fear, or something that's supportive, or something that's transformative. So it doesn't have to be all about the fear, but ideally that's the place you're going to start. Go ahead.
Oh, I just want to say that what was so powerful, Kaylin, when I did it last night was that I think it speaks to something that you and Daniel and in the shamanic astrology paradigm always bring up, whether it's a Pluto cycle or an underworld cycle, that it can be good to make that fear, or that make it literal in some way, or just to call it out in some sense. And that's what I found was when I was actually saying the things that were going through my head that were so painful. I was saying it out loud. And even though that might feel strange if you're trying to be a positive person, it was so affirming. It helped because it made it real. I could actually see what I was saying to myself, and it made me sad. It made me like, oh my God, like, why would I say that? I would never say that to a friend. So that
why would I say that to myself?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. That's so powerful.
Yeah. So by saying what you might be judging about yourself, and or what you might be judging about other people, or life in general, or what's going on in the greater collective of this reality, which there's plenty of things we can judge. And and the idea is not to hold back and to get into that deeper feeling place, because until we feel what we feel, we cannot heal. We have to feel it to heal it. And so then if you have feelings come up where you might feel angry, or you might feel hurt, or you might feel the tears, or whatever it is, and give yourself space to do that. And then ideally, if you need to move away from the mirror because you need space to do that, that's fine. And then come back when you're done, and then honor the process that you've just been through, and the courage that you've had, and the beautiful you that is showing up to face your shadow, and give yourself lots of love and support for having taken the time to do this process. So this is it's probably any time's a good time to do this, but definitely when Venus is in the underworld, perfect time, and Mars both actually, perfect time to be doing this. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about nitric oxide?
Yeah, go ahead and talk about this, Kaylin. That's awesome.
Okay. So because I really felt inspired to bring this in, because the Venus is with the sun, Mars is with the sun. And it turns out, and there's been tons of research done on this now, and this is a link to a TED Talk that talks about it, some of the research that's been done about how the sun and sunlight activates nitric oxide. And that is a chemical transmitter that helps to also activate oxytocin and other feel-good things. And there's so many things that it actually does that's good for us. So one of the things I've been doing is, I do this all year long, but I've been really taking even longer walks in the morning in the sunlight so that I'm activating that. And when I'm seeing the sun in the sky, I'm like, Venus is there, Mars is there, so I can't see them, but I know they're there and I can tune into the presence of their energy. And I know I'm doing something good for myself because we need sunlight. Not only does it activate nitric oxide and that activates oxytocin, it actually stores it in your skin. And so then when you need it, it's there for you. Also, vitamin D. And so many people have vitamin D deficiencies. We've been kind of programmed to stay out of the sun and stay away from the sun. Of course, you need to be thoughtful about how much time you're spending in the sun. Don't get sunburned, those kinds of things. I don't use sunscreen personally. Some people may feel, and I'm very fair. Tammy and I are both pretty fair. But I'm out in the sun enough, and I do, I build up so that I can be out for a couple hours without getting burned. And I just feel so energized by doing that. So I just think it's a really great practice, especially when Venus and Mars are there and we're getting that direct transmission through the sunlight of whatever it is that they're bringing to us. So.
Absolutely. And it's such a powerful awareness. I was just doing it today too. And I was out in a little pool in the creek right next to where I live. And the sun was there, and it was just like, just knowing that Venus is with the sun today and tomorrow really is a very powerful, you can get deep transmissions from that. So one of the things we often do in Shamanic Astrology Mystery School courses, this is so, but also in our Venus class, especially the second Venus class that we'll talk about at the end. We've got 2 different series. We'll always give dates so that you can look up and understand what these larger cycles are for you. And so part of what's special about this particular Venus cycle is, of course, that Venus and Mars are in the underworld together. That happens every 6.5 years. And so if we look at when Venus and Mars have been together in the underworld over the past, since 1935, this is just a special offering for you so that if you want to understand a little bit more about what this pattern how it has shown up for you, and what has been evolving within you over these special activations, this can be a very powerful thing to do. So this is just a list you can reference when you go back to the PDF.
Yes, and literally we're going to share some stories about this next, but personal stories, so it'll give you a sense of how you can maybe look at it and understand it, and maybe go back to these times when some of you on this call will have been born in this cycle. I was
Right.
born in March of 1956, so it was still in this cycle, the Underworld saga, and I'll share a little bit more about that. And then not this one, 1986. The November 7th, 2005 to 2007, another major event happened in my life that's going to tie into the story that I'm about to tell. So, but all in the underworld process. And then Tammy will tell her stories about that. So. Yes.
And I just really briefly, if you could go back, Kaylin, just for a second, to look at that again. Just to understand that it's bracketed by the Mars cycle. The Mars cycle is about a little over 2 months long, or 2 years long. And so if you look at these dates, that's the entire Mars cycle. So it's a little over 2 years with each of these. So we consider that to be an underworld initiatory cycle, and especially in the realm of relationship and partnership and the sacred marriage.
Yeah, so the thing to know is the only time Venus and Mars come together in this cycle is when they're with the sun. So that's why it's called the Underworld saga.
Yes, right. Thank you.
With the sun. So in the other cycles, there's 2 other cycles. Sometimes they'll meet together first in the morning, then the evening, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, then the evening, then the morning. So there's like different ways that they interact with each other. This is the only one where they are only visible together, are invisible together.
Yeah,
we don't see
right
off the world stage. Yeah. Also, Tammy, I don't know, but are you seeing the blue scribbles?
I'm seeing that, and I'm just like, I do not know how that's showing up. Apparently, there must be some way that a participant can do that. I've seen this before in other Zoom meetings, and I do not know how, but it's mysterious and strange, and
so we don't
of
know how to
course,
erase that, right? So, okay, just.
I don't know how to erase that.
I've never
It's kind of
encountered this
interesting.
before, so I just that put a heart on it.
A heart. Okay. All right. So.
Over my All right, so now I'm going to tell my story because I was born in the underworld cycle, and when I was born, my parents got married in June of 1955. I was conceived within that probably the night of their wedding night, as I was born a week shy of 9 months later. And my father didn't want my mother to have a child, or he wanted her to give me up for adoption, and she refused. And so they were at odds with each other, and they were not happily married. So it's kind of like an underworld thing, like their shadow shit was up. It was definitely up, and they didn't know how to deal with it and whatever. So, and the other thing to know is that every 32 years is when Venus and Mars come back to this part of the sky as the underworld journey. And I can just show you, like in 1954, then in 1986, that was 32 years later, and then in 2018, 32 years later. So every 32 years, they're going to be near the same part of the sky as they were. Oops, I didn't mean to go back. As they were 32 years prior. And this is very significant. So any of you who are turning 32 during this cycle will have the underworld saga going on, and you were born into that. And also, if you're turning 64, or if anyone happens to be turning 96 before June of 2020, like June 10th of 2020, I think. So when in age 32 in 1987, when Venus and Mars were together on August 24th, I found it was within days, literally 3 or 4 days, I found out my first husband was having an affair, and I was absolutely devastated. So this picture was taken of me at that time. And when I looked at it, I was like, man, I do not look happy. I'm like, I'm trying to smile. It was not a happy time for me. And then I had this picture taken recently, just a couple months ago, about 4 months ago. And I'm like, wow, and I can even tell you, I was not happy then. I remember how I felt. And now I am extraordinarily happy. I'm in my best marriage ever, with my best husband ever. We've been married almost 13 years, and we got married in the Venus underworld cycle in 2006, when Venus, Mars, and the Sun were conjunct in Libra at 28 and 29 degrees Libra. And we did that purposely so that we could create a marriage that was off the world stage, that was not something that was part of the old paradigm. We wanted to create something that was new and different and off the world stage. So that was our intent, and that our relationship would get better every day after that. And instead of going downhill, like a lot of people experience, like my first 2 marriages I experienced. So, that sometimes the highlight was the day of the wedding, and then it was just challenging from there on out. So my whole point is that if you're in a Venus-Mars return in the underworld, or having challenges at this time, you can turn it around. I've done a lot of personal work. I've been on a journey for a long time, and it pays off. So that is just something I want to share and hopefully give people hope for. Because even though I'm in my Venus-Mars return, I've never been happier in my life. So
awesome.
Yes. So this is just to show August 23rd, 1955, Venus, Mars, and the Sun, right around 28 Leo. The Sun was at 0. So of course, very near Regulus, 0 Virgo. Then in 1987, the conjunction, they were really close together, within a degree, less than a degree of the Sun. And then on August 24th, 2019, they're going to be at 4. There's about 3 degrees from the Sun. And then the next time will happen in 2051. And they'll be at 7 Virgo. So they're about 6 degrees, 5 degrees from the Sun. So it's drifting and it's shifting over time. So over time, they're not quite as close. But since 1955, we've had a pretty close relationship to the Sun. So Now we're going to hear from Tammy.
Awesome. Yeah. So we're speaking to some pretty intense subjects, and I think that just makes sense considering the context we're in. So when I went back through and I looked at what was happening in my own life during these Venus-Mars conjunctions in the underworld, and a lot of this, would happen during the larger cycle, but much of the intensity would happen when Venus and Mars were actually together with the sun. So the first experience was an experience of assault. Wow, that is weird. Are you seeing that, Kaylin?
Seeing what?
My screen is doing something weird. Huh. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I experienced being hit by my dad when I was 14, right there in the in the underworld. I was rebelling as a teenager, and part of that was I was really exploring my sexuality, and I was dancing, and he caught me dancing in a way. I grew up very, very religious, and so it was a very precise, my Mars is in Scorpio, just to be more specific about it. And so for me, there's something about sexuality, and I found also the wounded sexuality in the masculine line in my family. When I look at this pattern, I can see that. And so that was the first experience. And often what I found in these cycles was that by the end of this Venus-Mars underworld initiation, I was coming into more empowerment. But when I looked over all these ages, I'm not going to go into great depth with all of them, but I had my first two sexual experiences were, again, because I was like super Christian growing up, and I was really, my family, I had my 3 older sisters got married really young. There was nothing in my upbringing that was to prepare me for being a sexual, alive, vibrant woman. And so my 2 first experiences were during that cycle. The first one in a cemetery. They were both pretty much date rape. And so again, it's just very precise for me in the cycle. The third was this love addiction pattern that I ended up really doing some deep healing work around. The next cycle also had that theme, but at another octave. And then at the end, again, there was an empowering experience of beginning a more healthy relationship. And then the next one, my dad died of cancer. And we also, at the end of that cycle, we did a lot of tremendous healing before he died and afterwards. And then the last cycle for me was where I had gone on a pilgrimage to this Ixchel's temples in Mexico to heal my dynamic with the masculine, with men, with healing with my body, with my relationship with sexuality. And my brother also died of cancer during that period. And so when I looked at this, and again, I highly recommend if anybody wants to go deeper with this material, that you look and see what was happening for you during these initiations, whether you're a man or a woman. It's something we can work with powerfully. And for myself, the benefit I got from doing this deeper work of looking at this was to see the ways that I have been evolving myself as a woman with my sexuality and in my healing of my relationship with the masculine in my family line. And so it was so potent and powerful to acknowledge the work I've done, and also to acknowledge just how precise these patterns can be. So,
and just so also to mention, people don't understand or realize that Tammy is not born into this cycle. So,
right.
So you're going back. Yeah. That's why the ages that you're saying when this was happening, this was the age you were. So you might be a different. Because in 1986, I was 20, right?
Right. Exactly.
No, I was 76. I was 20. I was 20 in 76. I was 30 in 86. So yeah. So I would have been different ages when this was going on. So you would be different ages too, perhaps, unless you're born the same year Tammy is, and then it would be the same. So just going back to look at it, yeah.
Right. You're just going to look at those dates and like do a timeline and say what was going on in my life during those times, and really look at what themes emerge.
Right. So for some reason, I'm not getting to see my mouse. I don't know why, but hopefully this will let me change. I have to stop the share for a sec. I think if I can find how to do it.
Okay. There's a little trickster energy in here today. It's very interesting.
Sure is. Oh my gosh.
Did we invite Eris, or did we invite Hermes? Did we we invite
You might need to take over the screen share for me if you can, because I cannot click on the stop share. It's not
Okay.
letting me.
Okay, cool. I will. Okay, so I am going to stop the share. All right. So how are you now?
I'm going to try to escape. No, it's not. Oh, my mouse came back. Woohoo! Okay, let me bring it back up.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, now are you seeing my screen?
Yes, I'm seeing it.
Okay, and my mouse came back. Yay.
Good. Okay.
So anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the all right. So the other piece is that you could say there's so much that's happened this summer, and 2019 is a big year because we're leading up into the 2020 aspects that everyone has been talking about in the world of astrology that we're all really feeling. But so this summer, the Venus-Mars activation it's a big undercurrent of what we're all experiencing collectively. But the other piece is that we have this Capricorn convergence or Capricorn confluence now where we have the South Node, Saturn, and Pluto very close to one another, traveling together. And among other things, one of the ways we can look at that is that it has to do with ancestral healing, the healing of our intergenerational trauma, bringing up of old patterns from the past for healing. And some of that is felt and looked very, very dark. You can look at some patterns in the world around us now and just be asking, wait a second, what century am I living in? Like, why does this keep repeating and so dark and so intense? And we might be feeling that in our personal lives as well. So one of the ways to see this, perceive of this, and also work with it powerfully, because we bring it into consciousness, is to understand that collectively and personally, the wounding in our relationship between the masculine and the feminine, the way these two energies, the way these two genders also have engaged in the world, that it's an opportunity for us collectively to heal the split between the masculine and feminine, but first to encounter how devastating that is, and then personally also to look at in what I've been doing is looking at the wound of the masculine in my family line. What is the repeated pattern of wounding for men in my family? And to look at that for women in my family line as well. What did my grandmothers and grandfathers experience? What were their relationships like? What were those patterns and how are they living in me? And so it's a time where we can do a lot of deep work around that, in part simply by asking if we look back over the last month, if we're looking back over this last several months, really, whatever's coming back really big and really strong and really difficult for us, how is it that was experienced by our ancestors, and how can our healing, and that's part of why it feels so big and overwhelming. And when we understand that, it can help us to also grasp why it's so essential that we do our healing now to really heal and clear that. And I think just the recognition of it as being bigger than ourselves, even that recognition is a healing recognition. So some of the questions we might ask are, for example, what toxic beliefs do I carry from my father and mother's lineage about men, about women, about love and relationships? What did I inherit? How have I lived out these toxic beliefs in my outer relationships? And what would it take for me to die to and transform these dynamics? How might it feel to be free of them and open to healed and healthy dynamics? And then because this happens on the inside. This is some of the most potent work to do. How do these or other masculine feminine conflicts play out inside of me? And what would it take to die to and transform these imbalanced inner polarities? And then how might it feel to experience a healthy bond between the masculine and feminine inside of me? How would that look and feel? So these are just, again, we're giving you just a lot of meat, a lot of substance that you can work with that for many of us we're feeling this viscerally. So those are some questions you might work with.
Yeah, I think I feel that because I've been working with this and not maybe exactly these questions, but similar questions, and and also noticing what's showing up in my outer reality. So like, what is that reflecting to me in my deeper inner reality? And then bringing awareness to it, because of course we can't change it till we're aware of it. And so this is such a powerful process. I highly recommend that if you feel inspired to work with this is, and because, everything in the great above is supporting us doing this in the great below.
Absolutely. So
go ahead.
Venus, okay, Thanks. Sorry, Emma's been trying to get on, so I was just messaging her. Okay, so this Venus and Mars underworld initiation, we've talked about this a little bit, but it occurs within the context of a larger Venus and Libra cycle. And that cycle began when Venus rose as morning star in Libra November 1st, 2018, it should say, last year, and ends June 10th of 2020, so next June. The intent of the cycle, of the Libra-Venus cycle, as we are working with it and perceiving of it and seeing and feeling it very literally, is to dismantle the patriarchal relationship dynamics in our lives and the world around us, and to personally and collectively empower the new expression of the relational goddess. What we mean by that is really to empower the way.
No, it's good. I'm just going to click off of it.
I don't.
Okay, I just muted it all again. That's so interesting. Okay, so and to empower the new expression of the relational goddess. So that shows up for each one of us, men or women, in the way that we're doing relationship and healing our relationship with ourselves and with the world around us. So this cycle is especially powerful to engage because it's the first Libra-Venus cycle in 155 years. And so that's just a tiny snapshot of what it is that we explore in the larger course.
It's so fascinating that it's the first one in 155 years, and it is in the Underworld saga with the masculine. That is coming
right, exactly.
Age, right? And the other thing to know, if you haven't heard us before, is that when the United States became a country, with the Declaration of Independence, the chart of the United States, this was the meta goddess on the world stage at that time. And also we had the handoff from the Aries meta goddess to the Libra meta goddess, something that had not happened for 251 years. And then, of course, however long it's been since we've had the US, that it started I think, just some months prior to the signing of the Declaration, when we had the Libra meta goddess on the world stage. So this is profound. I feel it's very profound.
Yeah, we're so big. And absolutely. And when you add to that the fact that, wasn't it, Kaylin, that Pluto and Saturn came together in Capricorn? When was the last time they came together?
Pluto and Saturn, or Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter?
I'm sorry. Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter. When was the last time that happened?
33 years ago.
Okay, yeah. So it was similar. And with the South Node and Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn together within 5 degrees, that it's been 2,200 years since that happened. So if you think about the likelihood that these energetics are alive for us all at the same time, it is an opportunity to do such deep level healing. So if it feels really intense and overwhelming, that helps us to understand the depth of work that we're actually engaging.
Right, because we really have to dismantle all the old structures, beliefs, perceptions, ways we've seen things, been conditioned to believe in things, whatever that's all about. It's coming apart. It has to come apart because we can't put something new in place until the old comes down. I was like, you have to tear down the building before you can build a new one. So that's the process we're in.
That's what's happening. Yeah, it's very real.
So we just wanted to share with you that if you want to know more about the Venus-Mars Underworld Saga, you'll have access to this link in the PDF. Something Tammy and I did with Eric and Daniel. We went into great depth on what it all means and how it all works and what the patterns are, and all of that. It's pretty cool. So if you feel inspired to take this deeper, dive deeper into it, that's available. Also, we're going to start the Evening Star Ascent Journey in September. And so the information that is connected to that, if you didn't do the Descent Journey, that's okay. If you're here in the Underworld Journey, it's great to do the Ascent because it's nice to reclaim after having been in this long Underworld process. And then something that we haven't really quite rolled out completely yet, but we do have the page ready, is this comprehensive Venus Alchemy Signature Series. And basically, it's looking deeply at where you're born in the Venus cycle. What does it mean? How can we make the most of it? Also, how these different phases of the Venus cycle are inform us, even if we're not born into them, even if we're just experiencing them. What does it mean when Venus is evening star? What does it mean when Venus is morning star? Or there's two different kinds of underworld. We look at even take it deeper than that, looking at the chakra gate you might be born in or not born in if you don't have one. What does that mean? And then also, what does it mean if Venus and Sun are in different signs, or Moon and Venus, and what does that mean? I mean, it's an amazing, comprehensive journey. So, and we're going to do 4 live Q&A with this. It's already recorded and ready for people to engage. But we're going to do 4 live Q&A for people who are getting ready to sign up for that. So if you're interested, then go check it out. So now,
it's really powerful.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Kaylin, really quickly, just before you go into that, just one of the chats was interesting related to the Mars-Venus work, which is that Stephanie said that 155 years ago is when the Civil War was raging, which is very interesting.
I just heard today that it was May 26, 1965 when it ended. So absolutely, because that war went on for a while. So that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome to me. Yeah. And the challenge, the separation between people, and we see like kind of like people are in that polarized of a state again in this country. Yeah.
Exactly.
So now we're going to do an activation and taking you to the goddess, so to speak, to connect. And so I just want to invite everybody to close your eyes but before you do that, actually, if you have paper, journal, something you can have near you, because we always like to encourage people to jot down anything that comes up during the journey. Also, please don't be doing anything that requires your attention while you're doing this. It's like not a good idea. Hopefully, you're going to be in a quiet, peaceful place where you can not be interrupted and you can really go into this deeply. If you want to lie down, if you want to sit back, whatever works for you. So we encourage you to do that. So we're going to be connecting with the source of all life and light. So basically, because when Venus is with the sun, she's connected to the light that gives life to our planet. Without the sun, we would not be here. And so just know that there is a part of you that already knows all of this. The sacred feminine goddess was within you. And while you allow yourself to connect with this, just take a moment to tune into the natural, gentle, easy rhythm of the in-breath and the out-breath. And with each easy breath, allow yourself to drop deeper and deeper into a relaxed state, relaxing your whole body. And dropping deeper and deeper, relaxing your mind, letting go of any tension or worry or other distractions, and relaxing into the space you're in, relaxing into this now moment as you continue to breathe in a slow, gentle, easy, rhythmic pattern. As you continue to relax even more deeply, invite your personal guides, allies, ancestors, helping spirits to support you in dropping into an even deeper relaxed state. And open to receive any messages and or insights that are designed to support your next steps in living and experiencing what is yours to live and experience. Know that you are relaxing into a profound and transformative sacred space that we are all co-creating together now and whenever this recording is replayed. Take a moment to just notice if you're willing to receive divine guidance now. And if not, or if only partially willing, Ask yourself what it would take to allow yourself to let go of whatever is in the way from connecting the wise parts of you that are ready to support you now. So continue to relax and open through intention to receive divine guidance from the sun, the radiant source of the light, now informing the goddess within you, and now informing and illuminating Venus, inspiring a powerful rebirth into the wisdom of the sacred feminine within each and every one of us. Breathing in, imagine with gratitude you are held in the radiant light of the divine feminine, as this guidance and light illuminates your being. Imagine you have stepped out of ordinary time and into an extraordinary time, and a place beyond time where you have access to all possible timelines, including what might have been, what currently is, and what might be. In this nexus of time, you see before you your past, present, and future divine self. And if you are a woman, it's your divine feminine self. And if you're a man, it's your inner divine feminine. So these three aspects represent the triple goddess. Each of them has wisdom and insight to share with you, your past, present, and future divine feminine self. So as you tune into this space, you notice that the past inner goddess self steps before you, and she gently reaches for your hand. She begins leading you back through time, and you're seeing many lifetimes swiftly passing by. Some have been wondrous and joyous. Some may have been difficult and scary. However, they're quickly flashing by you as you travel back to a time before time, a time outside of time, a time when you were choosing to enter the human experiment to gain understanding and experience that can only be had from the unique perspective of an embodied life. Returning to this place of choosing that exists outside of time, that exists before time as you know it began for you, you remember the gift you have been given, the gift of embodied life, the gift of co-creating your own story and future possibilities, informing great mystery and being informed by the life process. Your past goddess self has brought you here in this time out of time place to remember why you chose this journey. To remember that you knew stepping into the world of time that it would change you, and you would in turn change time through your choices. And whatever this change has been, it has been the perfect gift you were being given, and it was the gift you were giving to this experiment, to this great experiment. In this place before you began your journey through time, you see all the possibilities laid out before you, and the gift of experience and awareness you bring back to this non-time, to this place outside of time. Your past self is asking you to remember that you are never bound by past timelines unless you believe it as so. The flow of time is an illusion, and in this time before time, you have the power to experience all your past, present, and future timelines in this now moment. So notice if you see any images, hear any words, or feel any feelings that help you to understand the guidance you are receiving in this moment. Breathing deeply, feel into and allow this place beyond time, beyond when and where, to fill your entire being and to provide you with wise guidance you can use when you return to your place within your present time. Your past goddess self is letting you know it's time to now return to your present with the wisdom of all your past experiences. So in a flash of light, your past inner goddess self brings you back to the present moment. She bows deeply to you, stepping back from you as your present goddess self steps forward, gazing deeply and lovingly into your eyes. She places her hand over your heart, and you feel yourself expand into this present time. She invites you to feel the magnificence, the awe, the wonder, along with all the challenges and opportunities of this now time, of where you are in this moment. Your present goddess self speaks these words to you. In this present moment, beloved one, we are in an underworld initiation. At this very moment, you can choose to die to who you have been so you can be more fully present to who you divinely are meant to be. Yes, it is scary to die to past perceptions of yourself. Yes, it is necessary to let go of who you think you are so you can be who you really are. Your courage and willingness to be present in this process is a gift to you and to all life around you. Are you willing to allow this death and rebirth moment to inform your present and future reality? Do you know you can change your current timeline through your intention and attention? Surrendering to what is and what is possible as you die to what has been and what has limited you is the key to experiencing this gift now, and it is truly the best gift you can give yourself. Yes, there are circumstances you cannot change no matter what. When you find this is true in your now moment, know what you can change is your response to them. Does your response keep you trapped in old patterns of fear and mistrust, or are you choosing to respond from love? Responding from love allows you to experience greater love. It is a practice, and it doesn't always happen the first time you make this choice. However, remember, love is the power that changes you from the inside out. When you choose love, you are choosing to engage a powerful, transformative, alchemical process, and you are reborn anew, fueled by love. Breathing deeply, allow yourself to receive any further guidance and insight your present goddess self is giving you in this now moment, including the intended transformation around how you perceive yourself and your world. Surrendering, accepting what is, and no longer resisting and therefore persisting in long-held limiting patterns that have kept you from co-creating the reality you long to experience. Your present self asks you, are you willing to die and surrender to let go of all the limiting beliefs that have held you back? Remember, changing your perception changes your life into an even more magical expression of who you really are, beyond who you have believed yourself to be. This is a good time, perhaps even the best time, to die to the old distortions and limitations of this reality, creating the space for something more magical and amazing to occur than you have yet imagined. Are you willing to embrace a new timeline where you know and experience yourself living the life you were born to live? Your present goddess self gives you a moment to be with these questions, encouraging you to open to receive answers. Perhaps the answers are present to you now, or perhaps the answers will come in a future now moment. She assures you it will happen in the best possible time for you if you are open to receive. Still gazing into your eyes, your present goddess self releases your hand, bows deeply, and steps back as your future goddess self steps forward. She gazes deeply into your eyes, reaching for your hand as she guides you through a portal where you can see all your future possibilities. Now she shows you what you are currently choosing based on your declared intent and willingness to follow through with inspired action going forward. Your future inner goddess says to you, I come from a future timeline where all your desires, dreams, and hopes are fulfilled. Are you aware you have the power to change time as you change your perspective, activating new, more fulfilling and fun timelines? Remember, you are co-creating your future experience in every moment now. The words, actions, and reactions of the past have helped to create your present reality. Your choices, words, and actions now are shaping the future you are moving toward. Your future inner goddess self continues by saying to you, a mystery of this reality is how fate and free will exist simultaneously. There may be certain circumstances we are fated to experience that you chose before coming into this life. You may not remember choosing these experiences, but know you always have a choice about how you respond to your current circumstances, and those choices are part of what shapes your future. Know this, to reach your future where your life is fulfilling beyond imagining, all you need to do is continually return to love and acceptance no matter what circumstances you are experiencing. If you can remember this and act from this, knowing your future is magical and bright. Yes, you will have moments when you forget. Yes, you may feel discouraged and hopeless at times. Yes, there may be times you feel afraid that you are failing. This is part of the human experience. Your opportunity is to remember whenever possible to not judge yourself or give up on the journey. Being willing to die and be reborn, to consciously choose this initiatory process, has more power than you have yet imagined. Your future goddess self now invites you to commit to your bright, fulfilling future here and now, even if you have no idea what it might look like, or even what you want it to be. Or perhaps you know what you want it to be and what you want it to look like, and yet you're experiencing something else entirely right now. Beloved one, commit to a future filled with love, compassion, kindness, acceptance, and joy, while engaging in actions to honor that commitment. Find ways to believe in your magical future and practice them every day. Perhaps you'll create a vision board and place it where you will see it daily. Perhaps you will create a mantra, a song, a declaration, an invocation you can chant or sing out loud on a daily basis. Perhaps you will practice shaking out false beliefs, your false self, releasing anything and everything that is less than love, while claiming that you are living from your true divine self every single day. Perhaps you will choose to create a talisman you can wear or carry with you as a reminder of this commitment to your future self. Together, you and I, as your future self, goddess self, will experience a beautiful, magical, fulfilling, and fun future. Believe it, know it, trust it, act on it, and it will be so. Bowing deeply, your future goddess self steps back as your attention and awareness is being drawn back into this time, this when, your current present time, into your where, meaning the room or place you're in, back into the familiar middle world experience of time. Allow yourself the time you need to return, and then take a moment to jot down any notes or draw any images that you received from the three aspects of your inner goddess self: past, present, and future. So if you are listening to this recording, you can pause and take all the time you need. We'll give it a moment. But from here, we're going to be going into breakout rooms in a moment.
Okay. So, do we want to go ahead, Kaylin?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I know there was a lot. There was so much that came through that. So,
Right.
so because we want to have time for Q&A, maybe just jot down whatever is most essential so you can remember, and go back and fill it in and more maybe later.
And they can also again.
Yes, that was so powerful. Oh, wow. So what we're going to do, the way the breakout sessions work is that we're going to split up in pairs. I'm going to put each of you into different rooms in pairs. It's going to be random, but we always know that it's exactly who you need to be with. And we've got these sample questions that you can use, you can refer to. But if it's too complex for you, you can just kind of share where you've been over the last month that Venus has been in the underworld. So just to have some time, heart to heart, just soul to soul, to speak in partnership. This is a Libra Venus cycle after all, about what your experience has been. So we're going to put you in there for about 10 minutes, a little more than 10 minutes. So you're each going to have about 5 minutes and then switch. And if I'm able to do it, once I get you into the breakout rooms, I should be able to actually send you a message with these questions. So if you forget them, you can reference them again. So just to take a minute, it's like, so over this past month, what you've noticed in your personal relationship to yourself and others, so just that might be something to start with, what's been happening. That could be your partner, it could be family members or close friends, it could be people of the opposite gender, it might be even your relationship to the earth, to life, to magic. And then you might consider where you might be trying to control others, or not showing up as yourself, or trying to fit into others' expectations or perceived expectations. And then you might ask that question, how will my life feel and look different using all senses and feeling when I completely surrender this pattern? So yeah, so I would say then too, I'm going to put us into breakout rooms here in a minute. So if you know you're going to not be able to stick around for the next 10 minutes, then you can listen to this later too, but I would ask the people, go ahead and drop off so that people have a partner that they can share with. So I'm going to go ahead then, Kaylin, and just start the breakout rooms. And it takes a few minutes, and you have to actually join the room. So let's see, we have 56 people. So
quickly. And so if you find yourself in a room without somebody, you can click out and join us, because we'll be
yeah.
Sharing. Yeah.
Yep. So I'm getting some questions. 24. Okay, so I'm going to create rooms. I've got a question to answer to. Oh, not a question. Okay. So 5049. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and create rooms now. And it will take just a few minutes for that to happen.
So I see that I'm being invited to a room. Tammy said probably should check in to make sure somebody's not there by themselves.
Yeah, okay.
I hope I'm not leaving you by yourself, but
right.
Check it out. Here we go. Is that Miss Rhonda?
Yes. Are you in my room?
I am in your room.
Oh, well, aren't you the lucky one?
I am. I'm very lucky.
Oh, I think I'm the lucky one.
Oh, we have a Stella too. That's awesome. Hi. So I've shared a lot, so I'd love to hear from the two of you. If you have anything that you'd like to share.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Okay. Let me go. For me, this Underworld has been really, really deep and really hard. I've been working a lot with feelings of despair, of loneliness, of abandonment, and all of the male traits that, the responses we expect from men. My older son is getting married on the 24th, exactly. And and it's been like they say, the emptiness and all of that. But I discovered that it's been good for me to have all these feelings coming up, because I try to push them down always, and I try to be very efficient and very mental, and now I let myself go with the flow and with the feelings, and it's been hard, but I feel much better. I feel much energized, and I think I'm gonna enjoy a lot of the wedding and everything. And at the same time, I'm changing all my furniture, I'm moving things, I'm throwing stuff out. I don't want to have, now this is my home. I'm on my own, but and I'm trying to be like complete. And right now, with the meditation, I just discovered there's still resentment towards men. And I don't know, in the past 2 years, I lost my father, my ex-husband, my 2 sons got married, and I'm on my own again for after the last cycle, what has been like 21 years, or 20 years with them, and now it's all over. So there's no more excuses. I have to be different, act different. All the work that I've done, I have to do it again. I have to like complete the work that I've done in this past years. So that's what I have to share. And what I discovered was that there's still, I think I blame them for not being there with me, and that created a lot of resentment and maybe even passive aggression in relationship with men. So in the last 20 years, I've been on my own. I haven't, but maybe this time I'm ready to have a new relationship, So I'm in that process.
Are you open to a little bit of feedback about that, Estella?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
So what I would love to suggest to you is you create an intention of, if you were going to be in a relationship, what would you want that to be? And I don't mean like how most people tend to do that. My favorite way of describing it is to be with someone who will love you like you want to be loved, who will support you in the ways you want to be supported, who will communicate with you in the ways you want to be communicated with, who will celebrate you in the ways you want to be celebrated, who will love you for who you are and not who they want you to be.
Yeah.
And so if you create that intention, and literally I had someone create that intention for me when I was leaving, my second marriage was ending, and Peter, my best husband ever. So not too long after that, and he is all of that. So it's great intention, because some people I don't know what they decide they want, but in terms of relationship, I haven't really gone down that path, but for a while. But those are the things that I treasure beyond measure. So amazing to have that kind of a relationship in my life.
That in the same level. That's what I want. I don't care about traditional marriage or anything like that. I just want to have a connection with someone that we can be real partners.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like it's conscious, it's collaborative, it's co-creative, and where you're each valued equally. Not one more important than or less important than the other that we've had in our patriarchal culture. To get to that place to be valued equally is so amazing.
Yeah.
I wonder where Rhonda was.
I don't know. She got bored with my story.
Yeah, no, she might. And sometimes what happens, sometimes people drop off accidentally, so that could have happened.
Oh, well, yeah, I hope so. And I really feel that I'm ready to try, because a lot of barriers, you're the one putting them. You're not treated the way you want because you're pushing them away. And then it's their fault that not come together closer.
Right.
I don't know. I'm ready. I can be I'm very aware of my part in it,
Yes, because
I hope that helps.
Happen. It's not just the other person, right? It takes two. Yeah.
Sure.
Right. One of the things when Peter and I did get together, we both had very wounding relationships prior, so we had stuff we were bringing into the relationship, and we had to work through that stuff and to be willing to look at our own part in it and then take responsibility for it and transform it. So it wasn't always easy, just saying.
Yeah, I know. It's not like the image of fairy stories and,
Happily ever after.
love and everything. No, it takes work, and you
Yes.
have to want to do it. It's not
Yeah.
it's not magical. It's not there. You have to work in the
Yeah.
relationship.
But to be with somebody who's willing to do that work and take responsibility for their part, that is essential, because you can be willing, but if the other person's not willing, you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah. Right. I love your story. I love it. It gives me so much hope. Yeah, that you can try and try and try until you finally get it.
Yeah.
And whatever you have to do to deserve and to have what you want, what you have.
And you've been doing this journey, you've been really doing the work, right?
Yeah.
So you are preparing yourself in a way that, plus you have the support of the community and all of that, that is amazing. So if you created an intention statement for what, for a relationship, and you shared it on the, if you felt comfortable sharing it on the Facebook page, I am sure everyone would help you energize that. I know I would. Yeah, I totally would help you energize that. So.
But you think I should do it like today, or I don't know? I feel like I have to do it like in the mass of the of the wedding day, and promise myself to be willing to do all that, and also the intention to find someone that can correlate that intention with me.
Right. So you could do it and you can refine it. So you could do it and rewrite it and refine it and be with it for a while till you get it, till you feel like it's really what it really reflects for you. And I just wanted to also say thank you for reminding me about the wedding. On the day Venus and Mars are in the underworld together. I mean, they're in the underworld now. So my son, my oldest son, got married in May. So in the underworld saga, but not, Mars was in the evening sky, Venus was in the morning sky. They weren't seeing each other at that time yet. But so that was kind of cool. But I think that marriages at this time can be really powerful because they aren't necessarily subjected to, if there's a strong intention, subjected to the old belief systems of the old culture of what marriage is.
Yeah,
right.
I think they are because he's 35 and she's 34. This could be their second marriage. They waited and waited until they found the right person.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, Peter and I got married on the day Venus and Mars were within a degree, and the sun was exactly, I think it was exactly conjunct Venus, and in 2006, and powerful. So I would imagine that, this is, it might not seem, I mean, it just depends on the intent. And then if people are being kind of, for some reason they chose this time, right? So maybe
they don't know anything about astrology.
Their soul knows, and and so you can come there and you don't have to tell them, you just come with that knowing, and that's in the field of their wedding. How cool is that?
Yes, very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Yeah.
Right.
And I like the intention that you're telling me to ask for me, to have that intention. I've had him for such a long time. He's been by himself with no steady relationship, like for 8-9 years, and then he had a difficult relationship. And every night my intention is he has to find someone that relates, that is good for him. And this relationship is working because she can draw all the positive, all the good stuff that only I, as his mother, know about him, you know?
Right.
When I see him change that much and see his soul flourish, I say, I can't believe. I pray so much for this intention, you know, that he really found the one who could, with him, he could work with her to be better. And that's what I...
Beautiful. And so you helped to call that forth for him. So now you can call it forth for you.
Yeah, I will. I promise.
I love it. It looks like in about 16 seconds, we're going to be back in the main group. So it's fun. So
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
Dark Goddess. I think there's more complexity to that. Hi. So glad to see everyone again. And I know that was, there were definitely some glitches. I've never had this big of a group on Zoom. We usually, with our bigger groups, we do the phone sessions. But
I'm very fond of saying that to any human, but to truly foul things up requires a computer.
I love it. So
thank you for that humor. Well, I appreciate those who were so patient to stay in the circle, even though we were having issues with some people getting into rooms. So I just want to say, in terms of the larger Q&A, that if you did have a partner to share with, that let's let the folks who didn't have that opportunity really tune into this Q&A, because I want everybody to have a chance to speak. So let's give them a chance here first. So again, you can unmute yourselves. Everyone can unmute yourselves. And
I wanted to share just how magical that was. Out of 49 people, I got together with somebody who was born, just Lauren from Ashland, Oregon, just 2 days different than myself. I think that's
awesome.
Wow. So that's great. Both Aries, and it was a lot of fun because she has she's new to the group but has a great understanding of astrology. So that was just fascinating because most of our aspects in our natal chart are the same, you know, like where Uranus is hitting right now. So anyways, it always.
Okay. You know what, actually, again, I'm just going to say that is so awesome. And also just for any of the folks, because there were about 7 people who didn't get a chance to have a partner to share with. So if those folks too can have a chance now to participate and just share a little bit about what their experience was, then let's just want to go ahead and create the space for that too.
I also wonder, Tammy, if we shouldn't mute everybody and then have them unmute themselves when they speak. Yeah. We're getting some background noise.
We are. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I'm muting everyone, but you can unmute yourselves if you want to share in the circle.
Well, I did want to share that when I looked back at the last month to see, I actually have my agenda book here. So I was like, what? Okay, let me look back a month ago. And it's interesting because I noted that my husband and I went to the beach that weekend, and everything in this last month, well, he and I went out last night, and I just said, we've been going on a lot of dates lately. That's really weird. I mean, it's just different because we're both really busy and we both have our own paths, and not that we're not connected, but, you know, it's interesting to note that with this sort of Mars-Venus thing going on that, in fact, you know, we have been very connected and actually being more actively connected and doing things together. So that was kind of cool.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's the potential, right? It doesn't have to be such a struggle necessarily.
Right.
It can be a coming together. Awesome.
But it would suggest too that the work has been done. Like there's nothing serious that is shadowy that needs to be dealt with. Right. So, you know, and as we've done this for a while, like I'm finding this to be a much easier Venus-Mars cycle at age 64 than it was at age 32. So
Yeah, I'm the same
because
age.
I've done a lot of work. Yeah.
I have a question. I wonder if, because I've noticed the past month or so, like everything pretty much shut down and I had to kind of like stay indoors. Even this week, I had like this eye infection that just popped out of nowhere. And I'm wondering, like, does that have anything to do with it? Like, is it just like a time to just like settle down and get grounded into whatever it is that I'm supposed to be doing?
You know, I'll just say, is it Haitian?
Yes.
Am I saying that right? Yeah. I'll just say it's felt very similar to me as well, just like really internal energy. And it's summer, right? So that seems strange, but very much that as well. Just a real, like, just kind of like stay put, that energy. So yeah, I think that very much can happen when you're in the underworld, because it's like we're usually so busy kind of doing and acting things out literally. Sometimes it requires that real slowdown, even if it's uncomfortable, to do the deeper work, at least. Yeah. So absolutely. Thank you.
And also, I just say eye infection. What are you needing to look at?
Yeah.
Not we all have maybe a message for all of us, literally. But
yeah, seriously.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 The inner stuff, it's hard to look at that, what's going on inside. So,
yeah.
Okay.
So maybe a mirror practice would be really great for you to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Haitian.
Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else want to jump on? And if while we're waiting for that, Elaine said something about her 96-year-old mom. So that means she's in her age, like there's age 32, 64, and 96. Venus-Mars return happens at those ages for everybody. So, and her mom is experiencing being in the hospital, congestive heart failure. She's in Texas and Elaine is in California. So not easy to communicate, and sending love and light to her and them. So yeah, we would definitely want to do that. And she said her mom is 96 and a Libra. So interesting.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Okay. Anyone else want to share that hasn't had a chance?
I have my hand.
I just want to, is it okay if I share?
Maybe, sure.
Okay. I just want to say, it felt, because I have my Mars and Venus in Taurus, just where my partner Lacey has her Mars and Venus. When we came together, it felt like a very special union to explore together for the future. We exchanged our emails because we didn't want to lose each other, like we found a friend for life type thing. Both of us being astrologers with whole different paths, but interesting that it was such a propitious or auspicious experience that in my break room was that I felt the exact same. I was stunned.
Awesome. Thank you, Bird. That's
yeah. The magic happens. Yeah.
Yeah, in the breakout rooms, it is what happens. And I thank you for saying that. It's also, just to think of that's awesome.
And
in the Venus class, go ahead.
My breakout room was 10, and in the numerology of my name and all that, I'm a 2810. So it was like, whoa, it's really auspicious that I'm here. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Excellent.
Awesome.
Okay. Awesome. So okay, who else would like to speak who maybe hasn't had a chance to really share in the group or in a partner kind of context?
I would like to, hi Tammy.
Hi, Estela.
I would like to share, my partner was Skyling, and she suggested that I had to write a real clear intention of what I wanted of my relationships. And I think it goes well for everyone. If each one of us can set an intention and be very clear of what we want, what we expect, what we want to find in a relationship, that's like a very clear exercise for us to know what we want, and then to draw that energy to ourselves.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you for sharing. I think that's probably very useful for everyone.
Yes.
Hello.
Oh. Yes. Hi, Amuna.
Yes. Yes. Hi, Amuna.
I think there was someone else. I had a partner, so I don't want to step forward, but I had a question. So I'm going to mute myself first if there's anybody else, but if there's room for a question, then I'll come back.
Ask the question.
Okay. So the last year and the last months and the last weeks have been so intense, and I've learned a lot with the astrology. So I looked from you, Kaylin, when you had given me a reading, because this is my time also. My Sun and Venus are very close together at this part of the journey. And I looked in the ephemeris, and if I understand it correctly, the exact Sun-Venus angle for me is in September 1st. It was like the 5 degrees apart. Would that be something to do like special ceremony? I mean, and it's really remarkable because on that day, the sun is in 9 Virgo, which is right on top of my Pluto, which is directly across from, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Would that make sense to have some kind of, make it like a special?
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I love looking at those dates and creating ceremonial intent, or like, what is it you're committing to going forward? And do you want to create a vision board, an altar, other kind of ceremonial intention? That this would.
I actually looked at it. That on that day, Mars is also a 9 Virgo, and Mercury is on 6 Virgo. So all of this is right on top of my Pluto, right across from my rising sign and Venus, my natal Venus and my Chiron. I mean, it seems a pretty remarkable kind of date, and that I
would say that's high magic. Possible times of high magic, yeah. And you might not see the results right away, but here's the thing you can do, Amuna, is when you put out your intention and you create your ceremony, ask for signs in the world of form that the universe is responding. And then if they don't show up, you would maybe need to redo or reconnect or recreate that. But usually the signs will show up, and I always ask for them to show up right away. You can say 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever you feel comfortable with, and look for the signs that let you know that the universe has heard you.
Thank you. Thank you both. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more, and then we need to probably wrap this up.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
I was in a breakout room by myself. What does that mean?
I know, right? I know.
And this is my age 64 Venus Mars return, so I think it probably portends something. But what I've noticed coming up for me in relationships is my angels. I seem to have a more conscious relationship with my angels now. So that was kind of unexpected.
Wow. I think it would be interesting, to actually also, because we're in the underworld and part of it can be perhaps just a mirroring. In your case, it sounds like that's a rich void, like it's you by yourself, but maybe it's a reminder that you have a relationship with the more than human world that's rich for you right now and a priority. And I would say too,
it's like I have the Kugara and Galatur.
Yes.
From the Anana story. Yes, indeed. That's awesome. I would say too, though, in terms of if it's showing something, that for anyone who didn't have a partner or who was in the bigger group, it might be showing you something about what your experience is, maybe that not that this is what needs to happen in the future, but more what it is, if that was hard for you, more that of what that is that you can look at and give voice to, so as to allow it to be transformed. If that's about, I don't have a space for me to speak, I don't have the partnership I want, or if any of those things came up, maybe that's an opportunity to look at that, feel that, and then to really call that out so that it can be really transformed. And again, yeah, just as a possibility.
Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you. I just talked to myself in the room.
Awesome.
I hope it was a good conversation.
It was.
Awesome.
You sounded like you had fun.
Right?
Good. You were in good company.
Yeah. I've been doodling my way through the guided journey to my magical future, and we'll see what the colors and shapes and forms bring.
So you were doodling, were you? Were you the one then? That was you?
Well,
I don't think she.
Yeah, that was me. What do you mean?
Not on the screen, so
I'm just joking. I'm joking. Someone was doodling on the screen, so just sorry. Just joking.
Oh no, I'm on the phone.
Okay, that's great. All right, thank you so much.
I feel like we might need to wrap this up, and wondering if you'd be interested in doing a closing for us.
Sure. I'd be happy to do that. Let me go ahead and make sure everyone's muted so we don't have the feedback. Okay, so let's go ahead then. Wow, what an amazing gathering. So as we close today, we just give such profound gratitude and thanksgiving for the company of our kindreds, the company of all of these beautiful, beautiful spirits and souls who are so powerfully and potently presenced for this moment and for all the transformation that's wanting to come through, and seeing each and every one of us guided in perfect ways to what it is that we are holding, what it is that we are that we have not yet allowed to surrender to Source, that wants to be surrendered now in the realm of relationship with the self, in the realm of the relationship with other. And again, just may the dark goddess within and the dark god within be our deepest guides and allies, so that as we step out of this period of initiation, that we come through with greater empowerment, with a stronger voice to speak our truth, and with greater inner congruence at all levels. And so it is. Blessed be. So maybe I'm going to unmute everybody so everybody can say good night.
Good night.
Great. Good night. So beautiful to see everyone.
Night. Be well.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Night.
Good peace all.
Hi, thank you.
Night.